I'm Judea Murray, and here on a positive note, we highlight the most heartwarming stories from all around our tri-state that move and inspire us. Now let's start with a standing ovation for Frankie Panacci from Middletown, New Jersey, because he just finished his last round of chemo. His friends and family gathered outside of Memorial Sloan Kettering, holding signs and balloons for the celebration. His dad said they've been waiting for this moment for months.
They decided that if he was going to be here for 6 or 7 hours, they were going to be here for 6 or 7 hours. And what has happened is every other week when he has his therapy and the chemo, more and more people were coming to show their support.
Shout out to his support system for sticking by his side. Our report shows that about 36 people showed up for his big day. Now, is it just me, or are the kids these days really strong? Over in Connecticut, 5-year-old Jace Bruno could be the poster child for On a Positive Note. After being diagnosed with a rare COVID-related condition, he's still seeing the glass as half full.
Jace Bruno's favorite game on his iPad is The Avengers. Now the 5-year-old has his own superhero cape.
I got this one from the hospital. It says, Mr. Awesome.
Jace just spent 4 days at Yale New Haven Hospital being treated for a rare and sometimes deadly illness linked to COVID-19 in children. It's called multisystem inflammatory syndrome, or MIS-C.
It basically causes inflammation internally throughout the body. It affects all your organs.
Mom Kendall Bruno worried Jace might have MIS-C when he suddenly spiked a fever last week. He'd had a mild case of COVID-19 4 weeks earlier, but quickly recovered.
We took him to the doctor on Thursday because the fever was getting higher. It was at about 104. They said that it was probably just a virus. Give him Tylenol, Motrin, just keep an eye on him.
But his mom thought it was something more. Jace's fever continued to rise, and on Saturday, he had more symptoms.
I said to my husband, I'm not taking a chance on this, I'm taking him to the hospital. And by the time we were admitted, his temp was at 105.3. He was not really responsive, he was shaking. He just really wasn't doing well.
But doctors at Yale knew what to do. His fever was gone the next morning, and each day he got better. Jace couldn't have visitors, but a friend did send this giant Mickey balloon, which was dressed as a superhero.
He took the mask and cape off and put it on himself and wore it out of the hospital, literally ran out of the hospital when we left.
Jace's mom says he's always been her superhero. His recovery is now another reason why.
How do you feel now?
Feeling good.
Oh my gosh, he's such a ham. That kid's got charm. Now, Jace's mom says her baby boy has a long way to go before normal, but boy, is she happy that she trusted her own instinct. And that brings us into today's Did You Know, full of new knowledge you'll be happier for knowing. Did you know that April is the National Month of Hope? National Day calendar proclaimed April to be the National Month of Hope in 2018 after a Florida-based group called Mothers in Crisis, Inc., which sees hope as helping others practice empowerment. For the rest of this month, you can spread hope in a number of different ways, like volunteering your time or giving to those in need or even posting a few encouraging words to social media. It could really be that easy. And every day is a day of hope for these two brothers who have been featured here on A Positive Note a couple of times. Remember these guys? Mike and Nick? These brothers from Brooklyn are on a mission to unite the world in love with their nonprofit called Blankets of Hope. And they just expanded through a partnership with the Boys and Girls Club in New Jersey, made possible by a generous grant from Columbia Bank. They're teaching children across the Garden State about a little thing called empathy.
We have them close their eyes and imagine what it would feel like to be in that situation and really feel those emotions. Once they feel those emotions, we then have them write their notes and attach them to their blankets. And then finally, we finish with a loving kindness meditation where they close their eyes again. They send love to themselves, they send love to their classmates, and they send love to the person that's about to receive that blanket.
Now, that grant from Columbia Bank provided 1,400 blankets that were distributed across the Boys and Girls Clubs throughout New Jersey. Each of those blankets, with their loving notes attached, were donated to shelters within the state.
Our charitable foundation is always seeking ways to make philanthropic donations, and we feel like we've done our part here. And we actually donate to hundreds and hundreds of organizations throughout the state. in all the communities we serve.
We heard tremendous feedback from the kids. They were really excited, and they had a lot of fun while learning. So it was a perfect fit to work with My Kids of Hope.
It just really fills us with joy knowing that we're getting to these kids at such a young age and getting them to ask those questions of how can I help? How can I be of support? And that just lights us up inside.
Yeah, those pictures are the fuel that really makes us so excited to come into work every day.
I think that kids, no matter what, are always going to do the right thing as long as they're given the opportunity to do it, and that's what I think you guys did here.
Mike and Nick hope this partnership opens the door for many more just like it so they can continue to provide for as many people in need as possible. This was Earth Week, and I had to shine a spotlight on a group in Ossining, brightening and beautifying the neighborhood, and not just during Earth Week. It's all thanks to Aaron Spring. In 2019, he just started spending weekends by himself, cleaning up the litter in his hometown. Fast forward to 2021, and dozens of people pull up to help him out every Sunday. He's been blessed with partnerships from school groups and local families, and they say they've got this thing down to a science now. They know exactly where to find the most trash.
It's up to us to make sure that we take care of the earth that we're going to inherit or that we're going to pass down to our children.
This is where we live. We have to take pride in where we live.
Although Ossining is obviously their main concern, they help out in Yonkers, Mount Vernon, and other Westchester neighborhoods too. Now, if you've got a game night coming up, you might want to tune in for this one. A new gaming experience in the city could be the perfect plan to hang out with old friends and even meet a couple of new ones right here in the middle of the pandemic.
Game of 1,000 Boxes is part live game show, part audiovisual thrill ride that takes the audience through a set of 12 different games that range from trivia to reaction time type games to collaborative team building type games.
You know, we're really excited to be introducing it now after people have been fully isolated for the last year, and this is really giving an opportunity for people to just come in and kind of interact with other people, like friends and strangers alike, in a safe way.
You know, this isn't just for people who are super into Jeopardy. This is for people who just want to come and play very simple one-button games in a 360 immersive environment. At the beginning of every show, one box out of the 1,000 boxes is randomly chosen, and that's the box that the winning team will win and be awarded for that show. And that box can never be won again. Every time you come to play, no two shows are the same. So your competitors are going to be different. For the trivia sections, you'll see different questions, and overall, you'll have a different experience. So for the teams who've come to play once, they already kind of have an idea of how to play, then they can come back and have even more fun the next time.
A lot of people were talking about, virtual events are here to stay, and people are going to work from home forever. And I think 1 year later, we're actually seeing that people are just craving those social interactions. In the space, every group is 6 feet apart, and we only have 16 people right now. Our space is 300 people capacity, so we're operating well below. But I think it just comes naturally. Once the game starts and the show starts, people just get really excited.
Just like side parts, skinny jeans, and high-waisted pants, record shops refuse to be a thing of the past. We're headed to Carroll Gardens in Brooklyn, where a vinyl junkie says old school will never go out of style. Matthew Coluccio opened Hi-Fi Provisions record shop in the middle of the pandemic, a move that the faint-hearted might say was too risky. But he's confident that vinyls are making a comeback.
A person would have a collection of books on their shelf, they can have a nice collection of records, it tells a lot about a person. It's just a fun hobby.
And in some ways, streamers really can't compete. Matthew says some records can't even be found online, and that's where he'll win every single time. Now, this next story fills me with so much pride. She might be young, but don't get it twisted. Carly knows a thing or two about her history and wants to share it with you too.
A hidden history lesson from nearly 200 years ago.
So I decided to research it.
13-year-old Carly Prudhomme, an 8th grader from Longwood Junior High School, used her passion for history to make an amazing discovery about a freed slave who lived in her community.
He was born in Middle Island and he fought in the Civil War. Sadly, he died in service though.
Carly on her own researched the name of Albert J. Freeman. It was a name that was listed on Old Town documents, but nothing else was known. Carly unraveled the mystery of Freeman's short life At 10, he was a slave, and when he was freed at 21, he joined the Union Army. That led to another mystery. Why was Albert Freeman's name not added to the Civil War Memorial in Middle Island?
I was like, how is this possible that he was left out?
It turned out that even local historians had no idea about Freeman or his family.
That family had always been sitting there in Middle Island, waiting to be discovered. And she helped bring them to life.
Carly knew what needed to be done. She put together a presentation of research and is applying to have his name added to the Middle Island Civil War Monument.
He should be the first Black African American to be put on the memorial.
And this is the actual Civil War memorial that Carly would like Albert J. Freeman's name added with a star.
So I can't think of a more appropriate addition to the monument.
To have a young person be interested in history is outstanding because a lot of that history had been erased.
And now, almost 2 centuries later, the forgotten life of Albert J. Freeman will be remembered and honored eternally.
We can't bring Albert Freeman's body home. We can bring his name home.
Carly's dedication to sharing Mr. Freeman's legacy won't go in vain. This Memorial Day, the name Albert J. Freeman is expected to be added to the Civil War Memorial in Middle Island. That's right, the kids in our tri-state have that kind of positive impact.